So, are we finally doing this? You've been procrastinating on this for a while, and my glorious fans have been clamoring for my return. Of this, I am sure.
Sorry, just been busy with everything.
That's fair. It's not like anyone's gonna watch this anyway. It's not you covering some weirdo.
No, it's just me working with one. You don't have to rub it in.
Yes, I do. Welcome, everyone, to yet another ThunderCats review. I, once again, am the Bird, here to grace you with my presence for this review. Today we're looking at Wave 4 of the Super 7 ThunderCats Ultimates. This wave includes Lynxo, Monian, Snowman of Hook Mountain, and Pumm-Ra. Let's dive in. We'll start with Lynxo. His bio reads, the oldest of the ThunderCats, Lynxo lost his sight in a fiery explosion preceding Thundera's destruction. He attempted to join the other ThunderCats when they left, but was too late. Later, Lynxo and his companions were saved by a verbal ship and joined the ThunderCats on Third Earth. Although blind, he developed his other senses to almost preternatural degree, and can sense things that others cannot. A skilled fighter, he directs his attacks at enemies' pressure points. Overall, pretty accurate. But I wish they included the fact that Lynxo was just a Thunderian countryman before he joined the ThunderCats on Third Earth, as his bio reads as though he was always part of that class. It also doesn't bring up his braille board. Lynxo comes with 2 heads, a neutral head, and a snarling head. He also comes with 3 pairs of hands. 2 are gripping hands, one with a horizontal pivot and one with a vertical pivot, and an open pair of hands with a horizontal pivot. He has a toy-based light shield, the tile from the Treasure of Thundera, and his braille board. His head moves 360, but not up and down. His arms raise this high, and yes, the right one can only move that high, and move 360 at the shoulder. His biceps move 360, his elbows move 360, and his hands move 360. The elbows bend at a 45-degree angle, he has an ab crunch, and his waist moves 360. His legs move out this far, and forwards and backwards this far. His thighs rotate 360, his knees rotate 360, and his ankle pivots back this far and rotates 360. Arrgh! The sculpting is overall fairly accurate, though still missing details via specific muscle clusters in the chest.
Dang blasted! What's going on?
As always, the colors are completely off compared to the show counterpart. On top of that, though it may be hard to see on camera, the plastic color for his skin tone is wildly different than the paint for the same on his neck. The paint job in whole is pretty sloppy in places like his leg, and even the trunk's red versus the tunic red is different. A big issue though is his feet. They opted to just give him regular boots instead of the tabi he's always been shown with. This was called out when the figure was announced, and they've had the right feet due to having the tooling for panthro. There's also the right shoulder we mentioned in the articulation. It's a newly sculpted part, but it's too bulky, to the point that the bicep can't rotate fully without a gap, or without eventually scratching the paint off. So why were these issues not corrected? Because Brian doesn't care, that's why. There's also his braille board. Sloppy paint aside, fans had to clamor for this to be included, because despite multiple people thinking Brian knows this property, he doesn't. See, Lynxo is canonically blind, and him having a braille board to navigate the vehicles like the Thunderstrike is an allegory for how real-world blind people have to navigate life using braille. It's a normalization of someone with a disability and demonstrating that they're just as capable as other people. You'd assume Brian would understand that considering where he lives, but I guess that's expecting too much. The tile isn't accurate to the show as well, and the inclusion of his toy's shield instead of a show-accurate one is ridiculous. Here he is with his vintage counterpart. Let's move on to Monian. His bio reads, Monian is the leader of the Monkians from Plundar. He is a powerful and brutish warrior whose ape-like strength makes him the muscle of the mutants. Monian is also incredibly agile, especially when climbing, swinging, and leaping through the tree branches of Third Earth. Because of this, he is often tasked with important reconnaissance missions for the mutants. Rarely seen without his signature helmet, Monian's preferred weapon is his deadly flail. A serviceable bio, which thankfully leaves out any mentioning of his 2011 counterpart. Monian comes with 2 heads, one with a closed mouth and one with an open mouth. 3 pairs of hands, 2 are gripping, one with a horizontal pivot and one with a vertical pivot, and an open pair of hands with a horizontal pivot. He comes with a gun, his shield, and his flail. His head moves side to side, but not up and down. His arms raise this high and move the shoulder. His biceps move 360, his elbows move 360, and his hands move 360. The elbows bend at a 45 degree. He has an ab crunch, and his waist moves 360. His legs move out this far, and forwards and backwards this far. His thighs rotate 360, his knees rotate 360, and bend at 45. And his ankle pivots back this far. Arg! The sculpting in general on him is very well done. The fur texture on his body is an interesting choice as a whole.
Dang blasted! What's going on?
He's obviously not accurate to the show colors, and his scaling is off too. Not that Super 7 seems to care about accuracy in model sheets. And while the fur pattern on him is a neat detail, it's not accurate to the show either. The waste of plastic for an entire separate head with an open mouth is dumb because they could have just engineered an articulated jaw for him. The band on his left leg makes it somewhat difficult when you pose him, and the plastic on mine stuck together, tearing a small part of his loincloth and leaving it on his leg. His flail isn't accurate to the show at all. I said it in my Captain Cracker review, but combining toy and show parts only makes things worse, and the gun lacks any and all paint outside of a singular color. But the biggest issue is that the shield can't properly be held by any of the hands. The handle is just too small. Brilliant move, Brian. Here he is with his vintage counterpart. You have displeased me, Monkeyan, so now you must battle one of the other apes.
Nope. You don't want to fight me. I'm way out of your league. Oh, that guy? You don't want to fight him either. He's too heavily armed. You have to fight that guy.
I'm bigger than you, yet have better articulation.
Now is the Snowman of Hook Mountain. His bio reads, Snowman is the guardian for the castle of the snowmen on Hook Mountain. When Lion-O came in search of Thundrillium fuel, Snowman repelled him atop his great cat, Snow-Meow. As lord of all cats, Lion-O tamed Snow-Meow, who accidentally threw his rider into a deep chasm. Lion-O and Snow-Meow worked together to rescue Snowman, earning his trust. Snowman would later join the League of Third Earth, allied with the ThunderCats against the mutants, Lunatacs, and Mumm-Ra. A decent bio, if not a bit rushed. One fun fact is that in the UK Marvel Comics back in the 80s, Snowman was given an official name, King Hanuman. Snowman comes with a helmet, 3 hands, 1 open, 1 gripping, and 1 pair of fists, all with horizontal pivots, an ice spear, an ice lance, and an ice shield. Usually we do full stop motion here, but we really can't with this one. Not at our current level at least. The head moves 360, arms go out this far and rotate 360 at the shoulder, the elbows, and the fists, as well as 45 at the elbows. There's kind of an ab crunch, and the waist moves 360. The legs move out this far and forward and backwards this far, and the thighs can move 360, but it's very tight. The knees only bend this much, and the feet only move this much. Arg! The sculpting on this figure is very detailed, though fairly inaccurate. The ice weapons look very nice and are sculpted well in the details.
Dang blasted! What's going on?
First off, there's the obvious fact that his colors are grossly off, being darker than its animation counterpart. The fur on his legs is too high up, as it should only come to the base of his knees. This is what severely limits his articulation in his legs. And the ab crunch is pretty pointless, so I don't know why it was included. The limitation on his articulation is a concern though, as his lance cannot be properly tucked under his arm due to it, so you'll never get it to pose right on the off chance that we ever get a Snow-Meow. Speaking of his weapons though, the shield doesn't fit well into his hand, much like Monkeyan's. The handle has to be squeezed through his narrow fingers, and you'll worry about breaking it while doing so. The shield handle being very thin doesn't help either, of course. I don't know what the sculptor was thinking, but it wasn't with his brain. Here he is with his vintage counterpart.
Thank you for joining my King's Club. You may take a seat before we feast. What is your name again, and what are you king of?
He says he's king of the monsters, and wants to know why you won't let that other guy in.
Or him? He's only a prince of our Saiyans. Still only a prince.
Finally, we'll close off with Pumm-Ra. And before we get into the bio, No, he is not, in fact, ThunderCat Jesus. The fact that so many people thought that just shows how little attention they pay. Pumm-Ra, if anything, is the opposite of Jesus, and the bio will tell you why. To deceive the ThunderCats and gain access to Cat's lair, Mumm-Ra assumed the form of Pumm-Ra. As Pumm-Ra, he claimed to be another survivor from their doomed home of Thundera and the attack by the mutant space fleet that killed off most of their fellow refugees. Welcomed by his enemies, Pumm-Ra obtained the powerful Eye of Thundera and the Sword of Omens, but quickly discovered that the spirit of Jaga mystically protected them from being used for evil ends. The bio is incorrect about the sword and Jaga. Well, Jaga says this in the episode.
The mystic Sword of Omens cannot be used for evil deeds. Attempt it and know the wrath of Jaga.
This is just figurative language. The sword protects itself. It doesn't need Jaga to help with it. Pumm-Ra comes with 3 heads, a yelling head, a closed mouth, and an extra larger yelling head intended for the ever-living Mumm-Ra. 3 pairs of hands, 1 open set and 1 grabbing set, both with horizontal pivots, and 1 grabbing set with vertical pivots, a communicator from the episode, a wrapped Sword of Omens, and an extra claw shield that forms a fist. And technically his robe, which is removable, and that leads us to... His head moves 360, but not up and down. His arms raise this high and move 360 at the shoulder. His biceps move 360. The elbows bend at a 45 degree, and his hands move 360. He has an ab crunch, and his waist moves 360. His legs move out this far, and forward and backwards this far. His thighs rotate 360, his knees rotate 360, and his ankle pivots back this far and rotates 360. Arrgh! The painting and sculpting on this is serviceable, but there are, of course, some issues that we'll now discuss.
Dang blasted! What's going on?
As always, the colors are off, not just in relation to the show, but also in the promo images. For example, the brown on the robe is actually supposed to be a dark red. Not sure how they messed that up. There's also the addition of the larger head. I get it. It's supposed to be on the large Mumm-Ra body to emulate the scene where he essentially poodles for the first few frames, but in that scene the head is smaller in comparison to the body. The biggest issue though is the claw shield he comes with. The color, much like the Sword of Plundar from the last review, doesn't match the metallic color from the previous versions at all. This claw shield also doesn't plug into the arm like the others either, opting instead to slide over the hand, which admittedly is pretty cool, but I worry about the paint rub. Does that mean they'll re-sculpt later claw shields to actually fit the Super 7 sword instead of the Matty one? Time will tell. Our copy also has an unfinished seam line on the shoulder. There's also this weird white paint mark on the secondary face. This is the first time this version of Mumm-Ra has been committed to plastic, so it's a shame this has turned out so inaccurately, though he's the least egregious in this wave.
Sorry I'm late. I was busy with something.
Why are you disguised as a furry?
Look, I subsist off of evil itself. If you could name a better place to find evil than a furry convention, I'd love to hear.
Washington!
Well, you got me there.
Here's the rub that we feel needs to be addressed. For this example, we'll use Lynxo from Wave 1. He came with 12 accessories. Here we are at Wave 4, and Pumm-Ra is $45 like Lynxo, but only has 9 accessories. This entire wave is short on parts compared to the first, so now you're objectively paying more for less, especially considering the price after this wave jumped back to $55. And heck, we weren't even gonna get the Braille board until enough people bugged Brian about it. This wave genuinely isn't worth it. Maybe at $35 each, which you can find them for now, but you could buy a Figuarts for that price with the same amount of parts, superior articulation, and made with care to the source material. A bit shorter? Yes, but still a better value considering its accuracy, articulation, and options. We're at a point where continuing to buy these is sending the wrong signals to the corporations. We're showing that we're willing to pay more for less work, and they've noticed. The only way to make it stop is to stop giving these dishonest leeches our money. This channel will continue purchasing these for reviews because we feel we're the only ones that will be completely honest and transparent about how much people are being suckered with these figures. Oh my, what a fiendishly wicked scheme this Super 7 company has been doing. Inspiring, really. both capitalistically evil and exploitative of their customer base. I simply must respond to Brian Flynn this instant. Turles, present yourself.
Yes, my lord.
Sit! I shall dictate, and you will type it. I must be able to move freely for this correspondence. Greetings, Mr. Flynn. Can I call you Brian? I feel we should be on a first-name basis as fellow cutthroat capitalists. I have recently scoured your site, and I must say I am thoroughly impressed. You see, I've been actively tracking how toy companies will respond to the incoming tariffs. While many of them have been transparent, I find your underhanded dealings in this quite refreshing. It's an absolute stroke of genius to start making the money to cover the even now unsettled tariff cost by charging your customers a tariff fee for items that are already currently in stock and not even affected by the tariffs. Brilliant! The only thing more brilliant than that is the fact that, unlike other companies, you chose not to be completely transparent about this, only choosing to respond when public outcry began, making sure the peasantry will only recognize that you will respond when you choose to. Your true masterstroke, however, was terminating valued employees right after your most profitable quarter. Absolutely mercenary. And I say that as someone who has personally terminated many of my own minions for my own desires. Instead of debasing yourself by finding a cheaper headquarters or trimming the actual fat, you chose to cut valued workers after a massive investment years ago and the high profits. Reading all of this has made me positively giddy. Seeing you justify depriving people of their livelihoods and suckering a customer base that you're already bleeding dry with subpar products under the excuse of the tariffs is simply marvelous. Even more so that you're doing this publicly and your own customers will rush to defend you. Like sheep trying to defend a wolf. Were you a galactic overlord as opposed to a merchant, I'd offer you a place by my side as my highest ranking general. Alas, there is a universe between us. I can only hope my missive reaches you properly. Admirably yours, Lord Frieza. Did you get all of that, Turles, with no mistakes? I don't need it read back. My initial statements were already perfect.
Yes, my lord.
Of course you did. That's why I let you live.
My lord, I do not wish to speak out of turn, but I believe the current viewers are hoping for a Bathe in My Milk sponsorship.
Ah, yes, that. We shall give them one next time. I felt this was a bit more important. That's it for this review, though. We'd like to thank our patrons and channel members, and feel free to leave a comment telling us what you think about all this. If you want to fund my dark army, check out the link in the description. Same goes if you want to join the community Discord. Remember, bird rules all.